segmenting. This is a topic I really do like. I'm a big fan of this, so I'm going to learn from the best of the best. Mr. Jimmy Kim, segmenting. What are your thoughts on segmenting email lists and mailing those different segments?
You should absolutely do it. That's the number one answer, right? It's all about bringing people through, right? So it all depends on the platform that you're using. If you're using SendLane, for example, it depends on how well you're integrated with the site. And the way the segmenting is really supposed to work is not about just, minimizing the people that you're mailing to or communicating to, but really thinking about what it is and what behaviors and what actions you want people to have completed or locations, and really sending targeted emails because you're really personalizing that experience. So based on as simple as did they open or did they click or did they not open or did they only open and not click, right? There could be a lot of things that kind of happen along the way, but why are you treating everybody the exact same? The whole goal of segmenting is to really personalize their experience, so you're giving them the right message with the right communication to make sure that you have the right message shared along the way so that they are more engaging with you to continue it. And secondly, what happens with bulk email is, again, health scores, right? It's much easier to get 10-15% open rates when you're sending, let's just say you have 100,000, you split it up to 4 or 5 segments of different actions that they've done. It's much easier to get higher engagement. You'll see this almost immediately because you've got a smaller bucket of people to send to, which when you have a smaller bucket, it's much easier to get a higher quality score because your percentages are much easier to achieve there. And when you do that, it's much more. So then we look at the standards of it, right? And you think about the different ways you segment. If I look at different users, it's all about, did the people buy from me before? Where are they located? What kind of devices are they using? What are their conversion rates look like? Have they visited my website recently? It's like, there's no perfect answer to segmentation except the fact that you should be absolutely doing it and keeping yourself engaged with people. The days of logging in, sending 100,000 emails or 50,000 emails, 10,000 emails at one blast, it works still. There's no doubt about it. But where you're really falling apart is you're now no longer speaking to that one person that you're looking for. You're speaking to an entire mass. Your goal is to separate yourself at a high level and figure out the avatar that you're speaking to, segmenting that list to speak and communicate to that avatar so that they feel like you've engaged them at a personal level. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. Listen, I forgot to just say one thing that is like, what the heck is segmenting? So guys, segmenting is if you have a big email, let's say you have 100,000 person email list and you're used to just logging in and sending it one time, stop doing that. I did a specific episode all about segmentation and what it's done for our company. I encourage you to go listen to it. And there's other things. I mean, SendLane's got some crazy ability. So segmentation is if you have a 100,000 person email list, instead of just blasting the same email to everybody, you go and see, maybe you sent a message yesterday and there were a certain number of people who opened it but didn't click the link. Can you imagine the open rate on them? Like, they're openers. So you just email them, but you email them with a custom subject line that addresses their journey, which is, why the heck didn't you click my link? So that your whole email changes and it edifies that link and encourages them to click. Now, I will say this, there's so many other kinds of journeys. I mean, for us at Lurn, I mean, we've got people that are interested in traffic. We've got people that are interested in business models. We've got people that are interested in copywriting. So if I've got I should really take some time to think about which audience of mine. It's just doing a better job by the audience too. You're delivering more value. Last thing I will just say is, it does take time. So I'm going to warn you right now. You're used to writing, sending it out. You do it and it takes like 15 minutes. No, now you're going to do segments. It's going to take you an hour and a half. And man, oh man, is it worth it? Even if you have to hire someone just to do that.
Yeah. And just to echo upon that, there's 2 things that I think about. It's not only about having this large list and being able to segment down. Some of the best segmenters have small lists and actually micro segment, and they only may have a 3,000-5,000 person list, but segmenting that audience is so important in that retrospect, regardless. So I always say segmenting doesn't have anything to do with the actual size of the audience. Segmenting is also about the communication of it. And then the second part, it does take time. It is a little bit more, but the amount of extra value you'll get and the amount of extra traffic you'll get because you're communicating with the right people, with the right communication, is worth everything in gold.
Absolutely. And just the last question to wrap this up, because I'm trying to rush because I really want to get to SendLane because you guys are coming up with some killer stuff in SendLane 3.0 that I'm personally, forget about being a co-founder. I'm just excited to use it as a user. But so you've always warned me in the past, Jimmy, about like when we do segments, right? You've warned me in the past about, hey, be careful mailing the non-opener. So let's say it's Tuesday. I sent an email out and I got a 20% open rate, it means 80% of my list did not absorb that message or get into it. So the next day, I like to send a message to the non-openers, to the openers, but not clickers, and to the clickers. And you said, hey, be careful with the non-openers. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. It's all, again, bad habits that other people may have. So traditionally, the way that people like to use non-opener segmentation is very simple. They send one email, 6 hours later, nobody opened. I'm going to send an unopened to everybody else on that list. That's it. Now, what you've done differently right now, what you just said, is you don't do that. You're segmenting the list, so you're still communicating with all of them, but you're segmenting all of them in different buckets. So now there's a difference in that, right? Your communication in that day, you sent out the same amount of emails, but you segmented that audience. So your overall health quality is still fair and good there. But if you do it where you're just only hitting unopens that day, you're going to get a lower ending and you're going to be hurting your score. Again, that glass of water analogy, you got to fill it, right? That's the engagement. Yeah. If you're doing an entire mail, so you said, okay, yesterday's clickers are going to get a separate email, yesterday's openers are going to get a separate email, and yesterday's unopens. Then you're no longer segmenting your glass. You're going ahead and still pouring that entire glass out. Yeah. Does that make sense? So it's very important to think about what you're actually doing in a whole picture scenario.
Yeah, and especially, so I get that, right? So let's say my first email that goes out is to the non-openers, and I don't get the best opens on it. That's like, I poured some of the water out of the glass. But then I follow that up with this high open rate email that goes out to the openers, and now all of a sudden it fills the glass back up. There's more water coming in. And the other thing is, if we've been purging our email leads, if we've been cleaning that list, that helps too, right? Because if you don't clean your list and you still mail your unopens are just going to get worse and worse and worse. Your open rates will go down, down, down. Your health score will just go down the tube.
Yep, you got it. That's exactly right.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.